I'm Simon Estefanos with your World News. This is my co-host Colton J. Hogarth with the national and local news, and Spencer Peroni with the regional news.
Tonight's first story is China's President Xi Jinping visited the Seattle area for a few days before heading to Washington, D.C. He met top executives at the Microsoft campus in Redmond. They included Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, and Apple's Tim Cook. He also visited Lincoln High School in Tacoma, where he promised 100 students a trip to China within the next year. Later, he went to Boeing in Everett because the company will be sourcing a lot of jobs to China in the near future. However, a few people did protest his arrival, making comments mostly around Red China. State regulators have suspended the use of the duck boats in the aftermath of the multi-casualty crash. The decision came down after a federal investigation discovered the company decided not to make an axle repair that was recommended. The bus was carrying 45 students from North Seattle College. 4 of the dead are international students. On a brighter note, many in Seattle are overjoyed with Shell's decision to not look for oil in the Arctic. Earlier, many Seattleites protested the port's decision to let Shell store equipment in an empty terminal. One of them was Seattle Mayor Ed Murray. Murray wants to make King County a center for clean energy technologies. The company based their decision based on the lack of oil they'd found and all the regulatory hurdles they'd have to face. The U.S. Forest Service spent $200 million fighting wildfires this summer. This broke the record for the most money ever spent combating the wildfires, says Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack. 2 of the 3 states hit the hardest are Washington and Idaho. Washington has what is considered to be 17 large fires, while Idaho had 21. The largest fire in Washington history occurred this summer, and that was the Okanagan Complex Fire. Suppression costs are estimated at $44.5 million. Now we have Colton with your national news.
Here's your national news. In Washington, D.C., President Barack Obama and President of China Xi Jinping met and promised to each other that they would investigate and prevent cyber attacks and pledged not to commit cyber espionage or support the theft of trade secrets in their countries. Next, House Speaker John A. Boehner announced his retirement last Friday as the fellow House Republicans threatened to shut down the government to get their way in the matter of continuing to fund the Women's Health Service Network for Planned Parenthood. Obama pays respects to Boehner and also slams the others, saying, "You don't get what you want in our government 100% of the time. We may have our differences, but that does not mean that you should shut down the government." In Philadelphia, Pope Francis urged hundreds of thousands of followers that gathered last Sunday to be more open to miracles of love. Closing his 6-day trip to the U.S. with a message of hope for families, consolation for victims of child sexual abuse, and a warning to America's bishops. Volkswagen manipulation of emissions tests in the U.S. went unpunished, besides the fact that they were forced to pay to fix the cars that have been tampered with. Also, the EPA, or Environmental Protection Agency, that checks on the car's conditions, also did not fix the problem or report it. Last Monday, President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and President Obama spoke at the United Nations Summit for 95 minutes in private over the conflict in Syria and how to resolve it. Although they spoke privately, we are told by an Obama administration official that they reached no agreements in the conflict of Syria and Ukraine. And now, here's Simon Estefanos with your world news.
This is Simon Estefanos with your World News. As of Friday, Volkswagen has said they've been caught cheating in air pollution tests. Volkswagen would install sophisticated software known as defeat devices that would output lower emission standards, but in reality, it would be 10 to 40% higher than the legal rate. Volkswagen has said they've been fined with $18 billion to the company. The CEO, Martin Winterkorn, has came out to the public saying he was deeply sorry for breaking the public's trust and he would cooperate with any regulators. A stampede during one of the last rituals of the Hajj, the annual Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca, has killed 700 people and nearly 900 have been injured in Saudi Arabia. In the city of Mina, 2 miles away from Mecca, a group were heading back, and as a group from Mecca were heading towards Mina, they were rushing because of the lack of time they had to perform the rituals. And as this occurred, everybody started pushing and panicking as they had no time. This isn't the first time it has happened in Minna. The same thing happened in 1990, and 1,400 were killed. A U.S. official told CNN that Russian fighter jets turned off their transponders as they went into Syria to avoid detection. The official said that fighters flew very close to a U.S. plane that had its transponders on, and functioning U.S. satellites rapidly saw that the aircraft was actually there in Syria. The same official told the Russians had begun flying drones in the coastal city of Latakia. With no ISIS fighters in the area, the move raises serious questions about the military buildup. A strong storm heading across the sea towards Taiwan is bringing the threat of powerful winds and heavy rains. Typhoon Dehuan is forecast to hit Taiwan's east coast on Monday evening. The current forecast calls for the storm to head just south of Taiwan's capital city, Taiwan, home of 2.7 million people, but it is said to weaken before it hits land. An Indian court has sentenced 5 people to death after a series of deadly bombings on a train in the city of Mumbai. 7 other people were sentenced to life in prison after their roles in the 2006 attacks. 12 defendants were convicted early this month after a 9-year trial over coordinated terrorist attacks. 7 powerful explosions ripped through Mumbai's commuter train transporter system in July 2006, killing more than 185 people during rush hour. And here's Colton Hogarth with your local news.
Here's your local news. Neighborhood Health has decided to file a legal appeal of a case made back in August over the land use decision that rejected the request to convert Ray's Market into a homeless shelter and service center located downtown. Next, Yakima taxpayers have paid nearly $21,000 in 3 years for business meals mainly between city managers, council members, and others. Top Yakima officials take their meetings to restaurants costing the taxpayers money. It is unclear whether these meals are efficient hours spent or just a waste of the money. However, Councilwoman Maureen Atkinson claims this hour spent is the most valuable hour of her day. Councilman Rick Enzi, on the other hand, said he found these meetings to rarely be informative and eventually decided to start declining invites. Out in Terrace Heights last Wednesday, a man awoke at 2 a.m. to find a burglar trying to enter a detached shop behind his house in Terrace Heights. As the man saw him awake, he ran and got into a van where his partner was waiting in the driver's seat, and they sped off in the van and were chased down by the victim. Eventually, the burglars hit a curb near East Street and Natchez Avenue and were apprehended. Also, the federal grant of $3.25 million to Yakima Valley Community College and Central Washington University is for Hispanic serving institutions and is called Finish What You Started. The majority of the money will go to Yakima Valley Community College and is a total of $650,000 a year for 5 years between the 2 universities. Finally, around 3 p.m. Tuesday, firefighters were able to put out a fire on West Chestnut that may have been caused by a cigarette thrown out of a car. 2 schoolboys who were walking by saw a man throw the cigarette out of the car, and one of them rushed to get some water to put out the fire that had started. However, when he returned, the fire had grown too large, and so the 2 boys called 911. The fire caused $20,000 in damage, but was able to be stopped by firefighters before spreading to nearby buildings. And now for your commentary. Donald Trump is attempting to run for President of the United States. I believe this would be a very bad idea, as many of you will most likely agree. He lacks the necessary respect for world leaders and countries all over the world. He could cause major conflicts and, in worst case scenario, cause wars. Although he did claim that he would get along great with many world leaders and countries all around the world in the recent GOP debate, he did not state or give a reason at all why he would get along with these leaders. He also lacks the knowledge, as shown in the recent GOP debate, where he spent as much time bad-mouthing other candidates as he did discussing the world problems. He lacks the necessary qualities to be leader of our great nation. In a recent campaign video shown by Jeb Bush, Trump was shown in a clip ran where he declared he likes Republicans and he likes Hillary Clinton, which is very ironic as he is attempting to run in the Republican Party for President of the United States. It also showed in the video that he did not even understand why he liked the Democrats more than Republicans. These facts clearly show that although Mr. Trump may be able to send our economy in the right direction, he lacks the necessary skills, traits, and respect to run our great nation, the United States of America.
Do you think Donald Trump would be a good president?
My personal choice for president is Dr. Benjamin Carson.
Why?
But because everything he says kind of is what I believe in. This country's going. But if it's Donald Trump against Hillary, it's not even. I'm voting for Donald Trump. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about Hillary. She'll probably be in jail. Hopefully, because she's broken the law too many times, gotten away with it, because her last name is Clinton. And who else does the Democrats have? Bernie Sanders, the socialist nobody wants, or Joe Biden, the guy that can't even tie his shoe. So yeah, if it comes down to it, I will vote for Trump, because he's a millionaire, billionaire.
Yeah.
Alright, well I think that Donald Trump should not be president, because he just seems to be doing it more for fun, just enjoy himself, and he wouldn't make good decisions for our country. And he doesn't really like Mexicans very much, and I'm half Mexican, so that doesn't really go well with me. So that's about it for me.
Donald Trump would be a good president.
No,
And why is that?
because he is not a politician.
Is that all?
Yep.
Any other opinions on him?
He's not very futuristic.
So
Kind
you
of
think
like,
he's just here for now?
yeah, he tends to like stick with old values.
Mm-hmm. He's not looking for the future benefit.
Yeah, in terms of like with race and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like instead of like getting past races.
I feel that. I respect that. Thank you.
Are you ready?
Nick, whenever
I try to keep my, the missing part of my, we talking about Putin?
Trump.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind, Putin, because they compared each other recently. And when they asked about Obama, well, no, it ain't about Obama. It's all together though, right? What was the question?
What do you think about
Donald Trump.
I think Donald Trump is awesome.
Really?
I really do, yeah. I really do. And one of the reasons because of the race issue, they always try to make him, well, they distort the truth. But the race issue, I mean, he's helped so many people. That's the way I see it, you know. And Putin and Trump, how are they together? I mean, I don't know. I missed that part. I fell asleep. Anyway, I think Trump's awesome.
All right.
That's really all I know is that he's awesome. But and then Putin's awesome. And then Obama's awesome. And it really makes no difference to me. But I have no hate towards any of them.